Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So, schools in California are having lots of problems. Not only sexual abuse and uncovering some of the teachers that have been involved in touching students, there's also been issues with budget cutting, schools closing, and charter schools that are coming into effect. And now we have this issue here with LA Unified, a school budget showdown in California, and why the state and the county have warned that Los Angeles Unified to get its financial house in order, or they're taking over. So there's a lot of budget issues and money issues with these schools in California, and it's happening all over, not only in Pasadena, but in Los Angeles as well. So the Los Angeles Unified School District Board was jolted last month when the top county official showed up unannounced to say you're spending more money than you make, and the savings you've been living off of are about to run out. It got worse 2 weeks ago when she came back and brought a top state official with the same message. Yes, my presence is indicative that this is serious, said Nick Schwartz, Deputy Superintendent of Public Instruction for the California Department of Education, who joined Candy Clark, Chief Financial Officer of LA Unified or LA County Office of Education, at the September 11th board meeting. The two warned LA school board members that time is running out for them to get their house in order, or they will lose control over it, and the state will eventually take over. So first step of avoiding a takeover is cut what you spend. And so it's not only happening in Pasadena, but Pasadena is part of LA County. And so it's happening in LA Unified School District. So LA Unified has to act now. And it has three choices, the official said. Make more money, cut spending, or do both. One choice LA Unified has not made is cut jobs. And jobs are in jeopardy. So it is our choice not to reduce our workforce in the current year, School Board President Monica Garcia said. We are looking at the impact of those choices, and you're right. It is your decision whether or not you choose to reduce over here or reduce over there. But when we look at the budget, we see, for example, your fund balance is doing this and going straight down, and that tells us that there needs to be some additional shifts, Clark said. It's very clear that you're living off of other reserves. But that's not wise, and that's not fiscal prudence. That doesn't get us to the path of fiscal solvency. And so, while the choice may be to keep the expenditure over here, the expectation that is the board is going to look at other expenses and make some adjustments, either up or down, or revenue enhancements. But it can't be simply looking at the fund balance and continuing to see it dwindle down below the requirement. And so, Dr. Candy Clark, CFO at LACO Info, LACO Info, sent a sobering message to LA schools. The window is closing for LA Unified to address our fiscal situation. Hashtag LAUSD cannot continue to drain its reserves. We must increase revenues, decrease spending, or do both. Clark, who is legally required to act if a school district will run out of money within 3 years, has given LA Unified until October the 8th to adjust its budget, including detailing exactly how the district expects to make the $73 million in cuts it has vowed to carve out of the next 2 years' budget. If the county isn't satisfied, it will disapprove the district's budget. Last week, Clark gave $7.5 million budget, a conditional approval. The next step is assigning a financial expert to assist the district, then imposing a fiscal advisor, which would be unprecedented for LA Unified and would strip both the superintendent and the school board of power. Clark outlined that this step, when she showed up unexpectedly at last month's school board meeting, the final step would be the state takeover, which happened in the neighboring Compton of 1993 and in Inglewood of 2012. So those schools were taken over, and now they have their sights on LAUSD, and it is in worse condition than many other schools. Schwartz warned last week. One board member sees staffing cuts coming as soon as next year. And next year, we're going to have to cut people in massive numbers. Richard Vladovic said last week, if I were the superintendent, I'd be freaking out about this report. And this is what he said. So next year, we're going to have to cut people in massive numbers. And if I were superintendent, I'd be freaking out with this report. This is by Laura Renames. Next step to avoiding the takeover, make more money. The school districts make money when kids come to school. So think about that. Rain, sleet, snow, even if the kids are undisciplined and if there's problems, they make money when these kids come to school. And LA Unified is losing students at a clip of about 16,000 each year. Why are they losing so many schools? So many schools and losing kids to these schools? And kids are dropping in enrollment. That's the question. It's happening in Pasadena and it's happening in LA Unified schools. Plus, the district has a stubborn attendance problem with the kids who do enroll, though it is working to fix that. So, to get more money, school districts need to ask for a raise. LA Unified is actively lobbying the states and federal governments for more money, but no one predicts the district will get it. Ask for handouts like philanthropy, and LA Unified does benefit from some and is working to get more. Persuade California voters to raise taxes to help the schools, or are taxes already high enough? Should our money be filtered into where they need to be, or is somebody pocketing the money is the question. That's what people have been asking. The last option is what the district endorsed last week. In a symbolic move, the board voted unanimously to back the California Schools and Local Communities funding. Okay, the Funding Act on November 2020 ballot, which the election time is coming up very closely, which will ask California voters to impose a special tax on commercial property owners. So if the voters approve the tax, it would raise more than $11 billion for schools and local communities throughout the state, including $1.4 billion for the LA County schools, according to the Schools and Communities First Coalition, a statewide alliance of 280 community organizers, labor unions, and business leaders, philanthropic foundations, and elected officials. The measure has been 870,000 signatures last month in order to qualify the initiative. So today's vote by the board is symbolic, but their endorsement represents a significant milestone. Kevin Perez-Allen, coalition spokesperson, said last week outside of LA Unified's boardroom. Dozens of coalition members rallied outside the boardroom during the meeting, calling on the board members to throw their support behind the measure. And one of them was a student, Chelsea Rosales, who recently graduated from Woodrow Wilson High School in El Sereno. For someone like me who comes from a low-income community school, I know what it's like not to have sufficient resources and not to have support on campus. A lot of students like me need that money back in our schools, she said, while waiting to get inside the boardroom. California currently ranks 41st in the per pupil spending putting a severe strain on students, families, and teachers and the K-12 schools and community colleges. Garcia, a co-author of the resolution to support the ballot measure, said in a statement after she won her colleagues' support, this initiative will help to boost that funding, especially in the poorest of the poor and the most needy school districts. It will allow us to have smaller class sizes and restore funding for programs that have been cut in the sciences and arts and the music. It's very similar to what problems Pasadena is dealing with. However, by the time a vote happens in 2020, the LA's unified savings are expected to be gone, meaning they are running out. And by law, the county will be forced to act before then. What does this mean for the teachers' contracts and the talks? The county and the state officials both expressed concern over the threatened teacher strikes and that a new contract will be too expensive. We are concerned that any salary and benefit increase, whether paid from reserve assignments or other one-time resources, could adversely affect the physical condition of District Clerk wrote in September 6th letter to Garcia. These salary increases are expected to exceed the projected state-funded cost of living adjustment. Because labor costs make up a large portion of the district's budget, we are concerned that any salary and benefit increase, whether paid from reserves, assignments, or other one-time resources, could adversely affect the fiscal condition of the district. But as a representative of United Teachers of Los Angeles told the board last week, the district's projected deficit in the third year have never occurred. So Union Vice President Cicely Marat Cruz told board members that the district's unrestricted reserve is now at an astonishing 1.863 billion of dollars for the end of 2017-2018 school year, even larger than its previous estimates of 1.7 billion. In its response, the district fiscal presentation last week, the union noted that the state requires only 1% reserve, yet LAUSD has 26.5% in the reserves. It's the third year disaster never comes. Okay, so here we got LAUSD 1.86 billion in reserve. Press release. And so this is by UTLA press release. LAUSD's financial officials have a history of pointing to an apocalyptic third year out of their budget documents. And this is it here. However, the Scott Price, the district's chief financial officer, showed last week that 2020-2021 that dips just $1.5 million and 1.04%. The county is required to step in if the reserves dip below 1% in the third year of the district's budgeting. And as Clark noted, if LA Unified doesn't cut $73 or $73 million in, it says it intends to cut, but which it hasn't shown how it will cut. That's the question. She will be forced to act. Remind me what's brought LA Unified so close to the fiscal cliff. In short, LA Unified is losing thousands of students as well, just like Pasadena has lost students. Each year because of lower birth rates, higher rents, and the parents that are leaving traditional neighborhoods because they're being priced out of the neighborhoods. The rent's high in these areas, so people are being forced to move, so enrollment is dropping. And what's even happening here, even more so, as the parents are leaving traditional neighborhoods and schools of independent charter schools as well, or the suburbs. Ballooning pensions are debt, okay? And the halt to one-time funding that the state has been using to shore up schools. Clark also pointed to the increasing number of students who are identified as needing special need education and the cost of maintaining those buildings that are serving fewer and fewer students now. Also, the district owes $35 million in penalties to the state for having too many administrators compared to how many teachers it has. More administrators and less teachers. Though the district is trying to get that waived, Clark wrote, we emphasize that the need for the board to recognize the long-term impact of the district's structural deficit spending and are concerned that time-sensitive financial decisions are being postponed indefinitely. Esmeralda Fabian Romero contributed to this article. And so all of this homelessness, people losing their homes and the high cost of living here in these cities, Pasadena and LA County, is impacting what's happening to the school districts as well. And so you see him here, Dr. Richard Vladovic. Not very happy at all about what's happening. So it's affecting a lot of people. Thanks for listening.